So WrestleMania is over with. Um, I really don't know how I feel. It's like they had okay, like I get their roster was completely crippled because of all the injuries, but it seemed like they didn't care since they had already gotten all the tickets and they're gonna see it anyways. So basically, what's the point? Hey everyone, this is Neo Reality Entertainment. WrestleMania is over with, as I just said. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about it. So let's get into it. Kalisto versus Ryback on the pre-show. It was, meh. Like it's a style Ryback doesn't know. I get that. It's a style Ryback isn't used to, and he only fought Kalisto once, and even then it wasn't a good match. Like he had to work with someone that he has never worked with before. Like someone can make the argument, well, CM Punk has somewhat style like that, but it got a B out of it. But like Kalisto and Ryback, like Kalisto had the fastness, the lucha libre style. CM Punk was more aggressive and had more oof to it. I don't know how to explain it. So Kalisto defeats Ryback, retains his U.S. title, and that's pretty much it. And Ryback got Goldberg chance because of his outfit. Seriously, I don't get why they changed his outfit to look like Goldberg. Next match is the Total Divas versus Team Bad and Blonde. Now, with Eva Marie, everyone was experimenting more along the lines like, oh, how is Eva Marie gonna handle handle being on Team Total Divas? How is Team Bad and Blonde gonna handle Lana? So Lana didn't really do much, and Eva Marie did a little too much on here. Like I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like she showed, oh well, she did better than her last Raw debut in a wrestling ring. So that's certainly saying something to show she's improved, but the fans still hated her. And considering how everything was looking like, it looked like it was gonna be a it looked like Eva Marie was gonna be tagged in, gonna be attempted to be tagged in by Brie Bella, and she just walks off and retains her heel status, and Team Bad would win, and Lana would get the victory, and that's how it would end. But no, they just play it safe. Like they don't even watch NXT. Oh boy. And Vince clearly has watched NXT, he just doesn't like it. Um, so it was a much better match than I thought it would be, but overall, it just felt like really messed up booking with Eva Marie to be a heel and Lana to get her first victory and first wrestling debut, and they screwed it up big time, and it just felt very underwhelming. Now, the Usos was the Dudley Boys. I was not expecting a great match. I was not expecting that. I was expecting the Dudley Boys to win since they just started out as heels and they want to be taken seriously and not be seen as a nostalgia act. The match lasted 5 minutes and it ended with a super kick to Bubba Ray, who has been a former world champion in TNA, and the Usos and Dudleys go at it after the match, and the Usos do the splash dive onto the tables and onto the Dudley Boys, and it was uh, like the Usos, they had nothing to gain out of this. The Dudley Boys had something to gain, like they would have gotten some heat, they would have gotten something out of this, but the Usos, they had nothing to gain out of this. So it was just really disappointing and kind of very short, though I think that's what happens when you have to air it on the USA Network and they have a time schedule. So that's to be expected. Now we get to the ladder match that opened the show officially. Zack Ryder, Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn, Sin Cara, Stardust, and The Miz. They went at it. It was the big spot fest. I expected that as much. It was pure destruction and the highlights of it happens to be Stardust going ahead paying tribute to his late dad Dusty Rhodes, Sami Zayn destroying everybody, and no one complained about that since it's Sami Zayn. He's from the Indies, so we have to do that, even though Roman Reigns did the exact same thing a few years prior. Dolph Ziggler and Kevin Owens doing a super kick on each other, which should have just said to Vince, you kind of overused the super kick a lot. And The Miz was basically being your cocky heel. And surprisingly, they went with a shocking booking decision to have Zack Ryder win the match. I was not expecting that. I gotta give them credit to that, but however, I'm a little worried that is this gonna be a 1 day reign like they did with The Miz back at WrestleMania 29, and well, Zack Ryder might be only lasting 1 day, and especially how he says if he retired tomorrow or today, he would be happy since he got his big WrestleMania moment. And it kind of came out of nowhere. Like, they didn't build it up like, oh, make him look like a credible threat. Like, it just happened. And that's it. Sorry, I kind of had a lot of cursing going on in my head. And I was expressing my dissatisfaction with certain moments. Um, now we have Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles 4. Um, it was confirming something that I knew was going to happen. They were going to start bringing back the like over the finisher thing, where they do multiple finishers to each other, and eventually takes like the fifth one to get the victory. And it kind of confirmed this. Like, I don't know if this is going to be happening long term or this is just going to happen with Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles, but it looked like they're bringing it back for a bit. And Jericho and AJ Styles, they had a better match than I had anticipated. Like, I thought for sure no one could top their Fastlane match, but I felt like this was their best match together. However, I am questioning AJ Styles losing. Like, to everyone else, everyone said like it was a big middle finger to the indie fans and to the IWC. And I certainly did somewhat feel like that. You know, like, you can say it killed the business, it did this, it did that, and like Chris Jericho had nothing to gain out of this victory. Like, I certainly didn't see anything to gain from this. Like, Chris Jericho's leaving soon. Like, it is rumored that he might be staying in the log hall and feud with Shinsuke Nakamura, since that's rumored to happen, since Chris Jericho called him out in an interview. So, is this trying to make Chris Jericho look strong for his feud with Nakamura when he moves to the main roster, since it's rumored that Nakamura wasn't going to stay in NXT too long? So we might see that tomorrow night on Raw. So I don't know. Then there's the League of Nations versus the New Day. Sorry, this video's being short. It's just, I really need to get into the bad stuff. We already started, and I'll get to that in a sec. Hold on. The League of Nations have been booked horribly. Like, they lost to Reigns in a 4-on-1 handicap match. I don't care if it was by countout. You just had 4 guys lose to 1, and it's through a countout. That is pathetic. And this was originally a 4-on-3 handicap match, but it then became a 6-man tag team match, and I was wondering what happened. So the New Day came out in the goofy, like, originally it was rumored that the New Day was going to come out flying unicorns and all that, and I was thinking, how are they going to do that without accidentally risking injury? I was like really curious to know, like, how are they going to do that? Unicorns and whatnot, like, they probably could risk the horse and all that. So instead, they opted to have a giant Bootio cereal box collapse, and they open it and they reveal the New Day wearing Super Saiyan outfits, wearing Saiyan outfits. Xavier Woods looking like Vegeta if he was black, and they cut a promo and then celebrate, and that was pretty much the highlight of the match. And when the League of Nations beat the New Day, the match wasn't anything special. What happened afterwards, however, is worth discussing about. The League of Nations beat the New Day. Surprisingly, I was expecting the New Day to win. because it was their big moment, and a lot of people are going to now play the racist card by Vince. Since I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. Like, Vince did give them the stereotype gimmick before they had to turn heel and be themselves. Oh, that word, be themselves. That's really forbidden in Vince's world. But he had no choice. I'm pretty sure Triple H has something to do with that. Um, the League of Nations said there are three that out of these three each guy. Way to treat King Barrett like he was an afterthought of this group, though of course he is. Um, then we get Shawn Michaels wearing wrestling gear, Mick Foley, Stone Cold Steve Austin to come out, and they basically buried the New Day again. Okay, hold on. Okay, if this was building up to an encounter match between Austin, Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley versus the League of Nations, I wouldn't have a problem with this. But here's the problem: Shawn Michaels is retired, hasn't wrestled in years. Mick Foley can't wrestle due to injuries. Stone Cold can't wrestle due to injuries. And these three guys beat the holy hell out of the League of Nations. Now, Rusev got some shots at Austin, but he was ultimately stunned. And it looked like, well, the new League of Nations just got buried. So way to kill the New Day's momentum after 6 months, and then just take it away from them with the League of Nations, only to take it away from them by giving it to the Legends, who have nothing to gain out of this. So it looked like, oh, the New Day is gonna get the exposure they're gonna get, and they're gonna get over with the Legends. Nope. Austin stuns Xavier. They leave the ring, and Austin and the Legends celebrate. So basically, just saying, ha, new talent. Who cares about that? And someone in Bleacher Report said, "Why did the Legends do this? Screw the New Day over." And said, "You didn't see this crap back in the Attitude Era." And I pointed out, saying, like, well, there was a reason. All the Legends were in WCW. And I'm wondering now, if WCW didn't exist and they had the Attitude Era either way, would this been the result with WrestleMania 17? Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, WrestleMania 17 is considered the greatest one, but if they had done what they did, everyone would have cried foul and said that was the worst. Not saying this WrestleMania was the worst. There's certainly worse out there, but yeah, it really didn't live up to the hype everyone had hoped with all these injuries. And then we get to the fourth match on the card. If you count the pre-show, then it's the seventh. Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose. Why are they the fourth match on the card? Shouldn't they have been like number three, like after the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and the women's wrestling match? Then they go at it, not the fourth match on the card. Like, if I was Brock Lesnar, I'd be pissed off. And if I was Dean Ambrose, I would be pissed off. Like, you've hyped this match up for a couple of months, treat it like it's a big pay-per-view, which it was, and we're the fourth match on the card. I'm like, if the rest of the card was all pay-per-view worthy stuff, but it wasn't, way to basically say, we don't care. They already have their ticket. We already have their payments. And also, they're in the seats. They're going to complain, but we don't care. So, Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose had a down and dirty street fight with only two weapons: kendo sticks and steel chairs. You know, I knew they wouldn't go with the chainsaw and the barbed wire baseball bat. Like, they were teasing it, trying to get everyone's head, like, oh, maybe they're going to go back to the ruthless aggression era. Nope. Like, I knew the chainsaw was never going to happen, even if this was the ruthless aggression era. barbed wire baseball bat, that was another thing. I was really hoping they did something there. But nope, they just said Brock Lesnar dominates. And the match was very underwhelming and didn't really live up to the hype. And Bleacher Report gave it an A minus. I'm a little questioning that. And this is one of my favorite authors that wrote the article. So I'm questioning that. It was a very underwhelming match for me. It didn't have that feel. It didn't have that big fight feel. And I'm curious to know what would happen if Bray Wyatt was facing Brock Lesnar. And I'll get to Bray Wyatt in a minute. Fuck Cena. And you know what? For once, fuck The Rock. Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks. Let me go into beforehand. On the pre-show, they have Lita come out and make a new women's championship, retiring the Divas Championship, which I was thanking God for because I said I don't like the butterfly belt. It just looks too girly for me. And and the women's wrestling should be taken with high honor and prestige and mean something, not just divas. Oh, they're all girly and whatnot, and they just like to do cat fights. I like even in the Attitude Era, there was occasional cat fights and there was women athleticism. And in the Ruthless Aggression era, okay, there were bra and panties on SmackDown, and there was hardcore wrestling going on sometimes on Raw. Though I think that's also because they didn't have a women's title on SmackDown, so they just said fuck it. So anyway, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, they fight for the reactivated women's championship, and they had a heck of a match. It certainly lived up to the hype. What surprised, and they did a couple of spots. Ric Flair took a bump. And once again, Ric Flair tries to make the show all about him for some reason, like he's trying to capture his glory days. And Becky Lynch just suicide dived him by accident because Sasha Banks pulled him in for it. And beforehand, Sasha Banks came out with Snoop Dogg and some other singer, I don't remember her name, to play her song and promote Sasha Banks. And I was really looking into this match and thinking, oh, Sasha Banks gonna win. Like they always hinted it, everyone's been cheering for it, and they went with Charlotte. And that was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I was thinking, oh well, Charlotte's reign's over, so well, let's give the women's title to Sasha Banks. Like they had a hell of a match with Becky Lynch, and I just realized Sasha Banks and Charlotte didn't really have a full fledged match together, a singles match at least, on NXT, and that would have been impressive. Like they had a Fatal 4-Way match with Bayley, and that made me wish. Yeah, I kind of wish Bayley was in this match as well, make it Fatal 4-Way because at least NXT capitalized on the four horsewomen before leaving, and Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, well, they kept making them fight on Raw and SmackDown and not give any meaning to it. Whereas in NXT, they were given meaning to finally be given meaning on this big pay per view, and they certainly delivered their build up. So I can't complain about this match. A lot of great spots, a lot of great falls, and I did kind of complain a bit about Ric Flair getting involved again. And I was surprised Charlotte won. I was rooting for Sasha Banks. Like, let's see, she gets a grand entrance, so does Charlotte, and she's honoring Eddie Guerrero, and does Eddie Guerrero some of Eddie's moves. And like, how can you hate this girl? How can you not want her to win this match? And yet Charlotte won. And a lot of people were kind of pissed off at that. Like, it just felt like more of the booking was getting out of control. And they just said, F it, let's just give it to Charlotte because. And I'm pretty sure Dunn's still pissed off because all three of them were NXT women and they were going to be the ones to be given the women's title. So Kevin Dunn's pissed off. Now we get to what everyone had rumoredly said was the main event The Undertaker versus Shane McMahon. And it's hard to say if they stole the show because it's argumentative since it was very slow paced and very destructive. I was rooting for Shane McMahon because I was interested to see what they would have done if he won the match and got control of Raw, and how would WrestleMania be affected from now on with The Undertaker being barred from competing there, and how they booked themselves into a corner and gave Shane McMahon and Undertaker something to, well, who's going to win this match? So I didn't see what was going to happen. So Undertaker, Shane McMahon, they had one hell of a match in my view. Like, okay, it was slow paced and was occasionally winded at times, which is why I think WWE went with Undertaker facing younger talent in the last few years of his streak. So Undertaker and Shane, they did crazy spots, they did crazy bumps. The highlight for the first time since 2002. I remember I was just watching Chris Jericho versus Triple H on the WWE Network for just $9.99, and that was the first time in over 14 years did we see someone climb on top of the cell. And that was certainly WrestleMania moment worthy. And Shane McMahon does the leap of faith, pretty much, and fails. The Undertaker moved out of the way, crashed the table, and I was expecting all three tables to be destroyed this night, but only one did. Well, two. I was expecting all three. So Undertaker gets the upper hand, defeats Shane McMahon, and keeps his WrestleMania matches intact. And I felt like, well, really, this was kind of stupid. You've built Shane up to look like he's going to take control of Raw so they can do a brand extension split right down the middle. And you did nothing. You just said, fuck y'all, the fans. We're going with the Authority still. So the Authority storyline still exists, even though it's really worn out at this point. And there's nothing going for that faction since there's only two people, which is Triple H and Stephanie. And it would have been interesting if Shane McMahon won and got control of Raw. Like, everyone would complain that Undertaker lost again. But I would have been all for it, especially how the match was. And certainly it was special for the most part. So that's pretty much it for Undertaker and Shane McMahon. Like, and especially how Shane McMahon had Linda McMahon, and they didn't even promote that, and his wife and kids there. It looked like Shane McMahon was going to win this match, but they didn't. They played it safe. They didn't want to do a brand extension, so they went with Undertaker, played it safe, and AJ Styles was a 50-50 booking, pretty much. So that's pretty much it for Undertaker and Shane. Now we get to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal that nobody cared about. Everyone had assumed, oh, Braun Strowman's going to win. Braun Strowman's not in the match. The Wyatt family's not even in the match. And I'm thinking, where's the Wyatt family? They better do something. Something awesome. And better do something great to regain momentum. And boy, was I wrong. I'll get to that in a sec. Baron Corbin eliminated Kane, and let me just say, the right guy won here. Like, I had two people come to mind, like, I wanted to see win this match. One was Mark Henry, since this would be his last WrestleMania, as he's been saying. And instead, they just sell him, you're black, so fuck you. If the people play the racist card again. And Baron Corbin was the second choice, and they didn't really play him up much. I was like, why is Baron Corbin not being hyped? And instead, they just do that. And then we get Shaquille O'Neal. And I was like, you traded Braun Strowman for a non-wrestler. Like, DDP I can get, but Shaquille O'Neal for... At least Braun Strowman can wrestle in the ring from time to time. But Shaquille O'Neal, really? Are they? And they reference the 2009 incident 7 years ago. I'm like, the original plan at one point at WrestleMania was Big Show versus Shaquille O'Neal, and they couldn't do that because Shaquille O'Neal's manager said no, as far as I know. So they didn't do the match. So, and Big Show is a heel again for some reason. And the biggest FU moment was Damien Sandow getting eliminated right off the bat. That's the second one, and everyone booed the living hell out of that. And Baron Corbin won, eliminating Kane. And I thought, okay, Mark Henry may have lost, but at least you got the right guy to do it this time again. So hopefully the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal will mean something again. And now we get to The Rock's big appearance. I hated it. Like, it started out cool, but then it's just dissolved into something I really hate. Like, then the Wyatt family come out, and I'm like groaning and like, oh no, they did not just do what I think they just did. You see 100,000 people line up their cell phones, and I was like, that's so amazing. Hey, WWE, maybe you're gonna give them a chance, give them some momentum, beat The Rock up. That would be something. No, fuck you, fans. We're gonna bury him. So The Rock compared Bray Wyatt to a drug addict who smokes and with cocaine and pretty much like that. Bong. Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan get pissed off. Kind of obvious. Bray Wyatt doesn't sell it, which I can only highlight. And The Rock challenges Bray Wyatt to a match. Bray Wyatt says no and gives Eric Rowan the shot. And The Rock defeats him in 6 seconds. And then the biggest, even bigger FU moment was John Cena coming back to further bury the Wyatts. And I'm pissed off at this. I wanted one fucking WrestleMania to go without John Cena. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him so much. Like, you do not know how much I hate this guy. Like, okay, charity work, hard work, yeah, he did all that. But when he went ahead and said, hey, I do charity work, so therefore you almost like me. So I'm going to use this cancer kid to get popular, to get a cheap pop. I can't like him. Nothing about this guy is likable anymore. Now all I have is hate for him. As a person, as a wrestler, as a politician, I can't like him. And he comes back and just, oh, I'm going to just showcase my ego again. Oh my god. Keep it together, keep it together. Now, the show went at 11 o'clock and it went into overtime for Roman Reigns versus Triple H. They went at it. I was expecting two things: a heel turn and a finger poke of doom, pretty much. It was at 11. The pay-per-views would most likely go off because, there were three things I was thinking. Either they're going to do a heel turn by finger poking, dooming everything, or it's going to be Halloween Havoc all over again. And it wasn't, as far as I know. I don't know if the pay-per-views went off, but if it did, then WWE has to re-embezzle everybody. Except for the WWE Network community, since it's their network, they can air for as long as they want. So Triple H and Roman Reigns went out for 27 minutes. It was sad. To me, it was more like Randy Orton versus Triple H at Randy Orton. I mean, at WrestleMania 25. And that pretty much it. Like, they had, because Undertaker, Shane McMahon, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks pretty much stole the show together. The energy was gone. The fans were just booing Reigns mostly. Like, that's the only time they popped. And then Roman Reigns spears Stephanie, and I thought that was the first time in how many years that he hit a woman? That they let a guy wrestler hit a woman? Like, I'm pretty sure the last time I saw it was Umaga beating up a woman. I don't remember who. And that garnered a lot of heat. And that was like 2007, I think. So they haven't done it in 9 years. Yeah, 9 years they haven't done a hair woman. Oh wait, I remember. They haven't done it in 7 years. They had Randy Orton do it to Stephanie McMahon during the whole WrestleMania 25 build. So, and the audience popped for that, and I'm like, oh, wow. Like, wow, you must really hate Stephanie. At least she does charity work and does it for the good of her heart, not like Cena, who does it for popularity contests. So I was like, okay, that had to have been an accident, right? No, it wasn't. Okay, is that WWE's best shot to get Reigns to cheer? Oh, they cheered for him, therefore they must like him. Okay, we mission accomplished. Triple A, and like the match should have been a no DQ match. I was hoping for a no DQ match. I was hoping that Roman Reigns and Triple H would kill each other, beat each other up, be down and dirty, bloodfest. And once again, Vince McMahon's speech of WWE is family entertainment. It's not a blood sport. Came in and wrecked everything. Like the match was okay. It wasn't Reigns' best match. Like it seems Reigns thrives more in hardcore style matches and sometimes single matches. Like he had a great match with Bray Wyatt at Battleground, but the match, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the match sucked because Roman Reigns is in it." Like once again, like they hate on Roman Reigns is getting out of control. Like I thought the match was okay. It certainly lived up to a hype for the build that was underwhelming, but when someone has waited for 2.5 years for this match to happen, it's kind of underwhelming for me. Like they should have been a bloody war, no DQ. Like that should have been the matchup. But no, they played it safe and said no. Get rid of the no disqualification stipulation. After all the rumors and all the sources and official T-shirts were saying, "Oh, it's a no DQ match," and that would have saved the main event, in my opinion. So Roman Reigns defeats Triple H after Triple H tries to use the sledgehammer, and they originally wanted Batista to be the referee, but they said no. But Batista said no to stack the odds against Reigns, and well, that's pretty much it for the match. WrestleMania was kind of underwhelming a bit. That could be because the injuries happened, the injury bug happened, and it really got out of control. And also add to the fact that all the booking besides the ladder match, since, well, kind of the ladder match is kind of, and because Zachariah wasn't really built, were all wrong. Like Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, okay, maybe one can make the argument that wasn't made wrong, but the rest of the card was all wrong for me. Like, it felt like, except for Collision and Ryback, like, I didn't care about that match. Or, well, that's pretty much it. Like, that's the only booking that I felt like they got right along with the women's match. But every other booking was made wrong for me. Like, I was alright with Roman Reigns winning. I was alright with that. But let's see the results. Kalisto defeats Ryback. Nobody cares since the match wasn't made a big deal. The Total Divas defeated Team Bad and Blonde. You know, most of the good wrestlers, and only three of them are on Total Divas, and the rest are on Team Bad and Blonde. And it should have been Bad and Blonde that won the match, since Eva Marie was on on the Total Divas team. The Usos defeated the Dudley Boys, and the Dudley Boys' heel momentum is now dead. Zack Ryder won, and everyone was surprised by that, but everyone's wondering how is this reign going to work. Jericho defeats AJ Styles in AJ Styles' WrestleMania debut, and considering what happened 2 years ago, a few years ago with Fandango, yeah, it should have been AJ Styles' moment. The League of Nations beat the New Day after their 6 month superiority, then get buried by the Legends. And Brock Lesnar defeats Dean Ambrose. Sort of been Dean Ambrose's night, and Bray Wyatt should have interfered in that match to cost Brock Lesnar the victory. Charlotte defeats Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. I was rooting for Sasha Banks, so I was surprised Charlotte won. The Undertaker defeats Shane McMahon. They had a chance to end the Authority storyline once and for all, but they said, no, fuck that. Baron Corbin won defeating Kane, and I was rooting for Mark Henry, kind of. And I also kind of wanted to see Baron Corbin win because he was the only other logical reasoning, and I was wondering, why is Tatanka in this match? In fact, I was wondering, who was Tatanka? I never heard of this guy. Oh, he was this? Oh, okay. Why is he in this match, and why was he never hyped up? They didn't even make it a surprise. So there's that. So Mark Henry, Baron Corbin, they were the perfect choices for this victory. Glad Baron Corbin won. So there's that. The Rock versus Eric Rowan. Don't even get me started on that. Roman Reigns versus Triple H. The logical decision, but should have been booked no DQ to make to bring back the energy of the crowd instead of just boos. And then probably things could have been different. So that was my thoughts on WrestleMania 32. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.